Today's team showcase has zero weaknesses, and that's mainly because we are using 3 generalists pretty good for the entire meta of Spring Cup. We're gonna use a Jumbluff, a Poliwrath and an Empoleon in the same team in a very weird ABB team that is gonna be able to draw out that lantern pretty effectively. We got an aggressive swap on our Shadow Poliwrath, and at the same time we got some nukes incoming. Also, one more thing, my Jumbluff doesn't even have its legacy move, which means that we're gonna use it without acrobatics, instead aerial ace. So now without any further ado, cue the intro. Let's begin today's content with the Ninetales from Alola as our first opponent. Obviously, this is a very bad one for us, and on the Switch, all of a sudden, we meet up with a grass type. You know what, this is still pretty promising for us because we can absolutely grab at least a shield out of them, and in doing so, we can have the upper hand towards the end game perhaps with our Empoleon. At least this is our plan, and I'm telling you trainers, this team has zero weaknesses. Even against the worst possible leads, the worst switches, you always have something to throw, which means that the shields are gonna be taken in no time at all, and eventually you can still finish off your opponents. So at this point they come into the battle with a Trevenant, and we got the Drill Peck, which is gonna connect I guess here for big damage, but at the same time, even if they blocked, well, we could still reach to the second Drill Peck in no time at all, so that Ninetales here stands no chance up against our Steel Wings. Into the next battle now with the King Trap in front. This Pokemon is always a menace under shielding because it can provide so much pressure with its moveset, and of course it might get access to something like a Noctazuka for the debuff. However, I'm just gonna call it for the outrage and we stand correct, so that was a very good block obviously, and down they go to my aerial ace. Now I will aggressively switch in there to my Poliwrath because I want to see what they might be having at the back, and since they stayed in there with a Kingdra, I have a feeling that they might actually be pretty weak to my Jumbluff at their third Pokemon. We stand kinda correct here with that Poliwrath coming in, and we managed to get the big dynamic punch on that Poliwrath for the nuke, and at the same time we can get to the aerial ace to finish off the final shield that remains. Now Empoleon can easily go in, and by tanking whatever they throw here, we can absolutely reach to our Drill Peck in no time at all, keeping the shield alive and of course our dreams to an amazing victory. Into the next battle now with a Dugong up in front, another very bad one for us. Those ice moves, we just do not want to see the damage output on our typing at all. So by switching out to our Poliwrath, once again we bait out of there that grass type, but to be fair, that grass type might actually be a pretty good opponent for our Empoleon as well because of that Drill Peck. So Icy Wind now is gonna be able to grab the second shield out of play, which is pretty promising for us, and now we can easily come into the battle with our Jumbluff. In doing so, we can absolutely finish them off at any time we want to, and at the same time we can start over farming a lot because they have that double debuff on their backside, so we can absolutely take advantage of that. By keeping that shield alive for the end game and my Empoleon, we can get now to the Energy Ball for so much damage to the Dugong, and at the same time we apply the defensive debuff. So Icy Wind is coming up, now Empoleon comes into the battle and they have Elurantis. I know that this Pokemon might carry the move Superpower, so I'm just gonna block here because Fury Cutter is gonna give so much energy in so little time, and right after we can respond with a Drill Peck. Now that Dugong returns, we have overfarmed just a little bit more against Lurantis, and we can absolutely outspeed our opponent to the Drill Run. So Drill Peck is coming up, drill for a drill, but our drill is the biggest one. So an amazing victory once again. So here comes now a Ferrothorn up against us. How I want to play this individual matchup all the time is to see what moveset they have. So I'm just gonna take the first move because sometimes they have Thunder or Mirror Shot, which is gonna be a very good one for your Jumbluff overall, and you need to stay in. Otherwise, feel free to take that Flash Cannon, bank that energy you have farmed up and stored up for the end game, and obviously your Poliwrath will be coming pretty clutch up against that Ferrothorn for sure. But another grass type will be at the back at the face of Trevenant, so now my Jumbluff will return with a lot of energy up against that Pokemon. Down they go in a single move. Now we're expecting the return of the Ferrothorn in no time at all, so here it is. It all depends now on what they might actually be having at the back, but I managed to catch here the big flash cannon. Are you kidding me? That was a crucial catch. So by blocking here now the correct move this time, the Power Whip, we managed to get the upper hand with so much energy, and now Roserade is coming into the battle. Those poison jabs are never gonna be enough to finish us off, so we're just gonna keep farming down and eventually grab a very good victory for our team. Empoleon now is a lead that I do not like at all with my Jumbluff, mainly because they can resist whatever I throw, and even one energy ball, which is my nuke move, is not gonna be enough to finish them off. So at this point I'm just gonna go for the energy ball, which I know they're gonna take, and because they're getting a little bit too greedy here, I can get to another energy ball to grab that shield. Now on the RLAs, but unfortunately we're gonna lose the race to the CMP, so down we go. At this point we have the shield advantage, but at the same time I do not want to bring my Poliwrath into play, because I know that I can easily farm down here by not spending a shield at all and get out of here with 100 energy. This is looking pretty promising for us. Lantern is coming in, and unfortunately for us now at the back we are kinda weak to that Pokemon. So this team has no weaknesses, okay, but if you manage to bait out the Lantern with an aggressive switch out to your Poliwrath, you can absolutely have the upper hand. So in this incident they had an Empoleon, and I made the mistake of staying in there with my Jumbluff. That's why we almost lost that, but still the battle is definitely not over yet. It all depends on what there might be at the very end, which they have a Roserade. So Drillpeck here is gonna be clutch for the shield, or at least I hope so, because they managed to get that move through even though they had the shield, but still that was kinda for the flex point, and my opponent absolutely nailed that. Into the next battle now, and we're having those aerial aces on the Tropius. Of course we're exchanging super effective damage on each other, and I cannot switch out at all. That Tropius under shielding can absolutely be devastating for my Poliwrath, so I'm just glad that I'm not encountering that Tropius with my Poly or even my Empoleon, because we still need to charge up to that Drillpeck if we want to have any chance at all. At this point though, I know that I can easily farm down by not spending a shield as well, so I'm just gonna do that, but in the process we took one Leaf Blade, which brought us almost below that 50% mark. So Drillpeck now able to get the shield out of that Poliwrath, and now all we have to do here is to predict the unpredictable, because I had a feeling this is a power punch they threw at the 5th counter, which is pretty good for us, and at the same time we got the dynamic punch to finish off that Poliwrath. Now that they come into the battle with a Dugong, we managed to get our hands on another dynamic punch, this time for the shield, but in the process we also managed to do so much damage with our moves. Eventually we can farm down now with the Steel Wing, so down they go in a very weird way. Into the final one now, up against the Abomasnow. Obviously this is horrible for us and horrendous at the same time on the Switch, because they got the Lantern. Hopefully though, Poliwrath has zero weakness in the meta, always has something to throw even against the Lantern, and we managed to beat it down eventually. That was pretty impressive. Now we can have the upper hand on the alignment, because Poliwrath of their own is gonna come into the battle, and another dynamic punch will connect here for lethal damage. So as you can see, not lethal, they can still survive, but at the same time they cannot even fire off a single charge attack. So now with Abomasnow coming into the battle and the Weather Ball, we managed to get that final big victory to set the deal for our team, and perhaps the best team that you can use without any weaknesses out there. So that is gonna be all for today, trainers. Thank you for watching, for sticking around till the end. As always, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new to my content, and check any of these 2 videos that I have prepared for you. Till the next time, take care, trainers.